Question worth thinking about. What will you do when your time, skill, or talent is no longer needed for your employer? I want to share some thoughts with you briefly. All right, so I've been thinking a lot of lately, especially at a video I did this morning about the Goldman Sachs and their decreasing of pay due to their movement away from the need of human labor to run their operations. And so we've watched over the last several centuries of the concept of work, labor, employment has gradually changed. And so we're witnessing the beginning of that fintech slash solely technological age that we're currently in. And all the developments with the blockchain and all those things are really going to speed things up to where I believe that in this next decade will be the rolling out of concepts as well as new lines of employment or affiliate style means for people to earn these days. And so one of my concerns is that when it comes to the banking sector, it's very interesting how they have been decreasing the pay of their own workers. And as I mentioned in our video earlier, everything we're engaged in, everything our monetary system is based upon, everything is our government attempts to do as far as providing services and whatnot for the people is all to provide a sense of security through employment. So the government has been the biggest employer over the last several decades, but yet that's one thing that I'm assuming is going to change as well, because they themselves may end up rolling into some type of automated services or something with less need for actual human power. So that led me to just begin thinking really, and want to throw out this to you guys, is in the next decade, as it's more than likely that more people will be faced with the concept of unemployment and being thrust out into the workforce at a time where the whole idea of security and receiving benefits and retirement vehicles or whatnot, all those are going to change as well. And just to let you know how that's changing, you see that there's more of a push now for programs of helicopter money, UBI, all those things that we're hearing about more and more. They're all interconnected with this shift in how employment is viewed and how it's going to be implemented or lack thereof in the next decade. And so I think it's time for us all to really begin thinking, what do we bring to the world? What do we bring of value that could sustain us and allow us to express our uniqueness, more importantly, our gifts? And so after watching this whole pension situation unfold to where there's millions upon millions of people, especially from that video I showed back in 1972 before it really became a hot topic worthy of talking about, there's been defaults of corporations and basically buyouts of corporations to where the whole vesting process of being vested solely into a company for X amount of years have been reneged upon. So promises in and of themselves are not going to be dependable in the days ahead. So it's going to fall back on you, the individual. It's going to fall back on me to now begin stepping up and taking lead in my own life, to where in order to do that, it's going to require a shift of how we currently think. And so there's multiple ways of looking at ways of adding value. And so some people choose to do it through employment, to where they rather contract their services and talents out directly in exchange for a paycheck and all the benefits that come with that. And then you have people who choose to use assets that they are able to purchase and then receive funds from those. But yet we have to begin really helping more people understand that regardless of all those things there, they might be good temporarily, but ultimately, and this goes back to the spiritual aspects of things, I believe each and every one of us is born with a uniqueness and born with some type of gift that we're intended to contribute. And just the very fact that employment has taken that and dumbed that down and made us all feel like in order to be quote unquote successful or to obtain X amount of digits in our bank accounts to feel important and feel worthy, I think right now we're witnessing the shift to where a lot of people are going to find out that their true value has nothing to do with a digit. It has nothing to do with a certain comfort level that you've been conditioned to expect based upon the security that come with having a job and all those things that we've been used to for so long during the industrial age. And so the industrial age brought in the whole American dream concept, where people we're conditioned to believe that it is every man's right to have a home, a vehicle, and a dining room table in which you can feed your family. But yet, once again, that model of the American dream during the industrial age was designed specifically to use your time, use your talents in exchange for a later payout in the form of a pension, to where most people, primarily the baby boomers and those that are no longer here, unfortunately, they spent 20, 30, 40 years with the company, and they sacrificed their gifts. They sacrificed, more than likely, their dreams that they had when they were a kid in exchange for comfort and convenience and what they thought was the best thing for them, to then find out come retirement time that either the company went belly up, the company was underfunded, or something of that nature. They basically forfeited, or they abdicated their financial futures to a company or to a corporation or to a individual, and that person ended up letting them down. And so I think as the industrial age has clearly come to an end and we move into the fintech world, to where technology will rule the day. Therefore, people will have more time on their hands, because as you can see, more people will be unemployed. And so with unemployment, it comes a time to begin rethinking what value we bring to the world. And I believe that it's time for deployment, where we're going to be called upon to reach inside of our hearts and get back to those dreams that we've been putting off, or just trying to quiet those dreams down out of the fear of not having enough money, not enough time, not enough whatever. In this next decade, I believe you might have enough time. You will have enough opportunity, because whatever that dream is, whatever that gift is you're carrying, someone else out there also probably has that same thing. And so there's different ways of getting involved and connecting and building community and delivering service and delivering value to the world. And I think right now is the time where more people begin getting that little nudge and getting that sense of encouragement from others, to where, I think now is the time like never before to really consider, your employment status. How comfortable, how secure do you think you are? Because once again, if your livelihood is dependent upon a corporation, an entity, a government, or anybody else, those promises, they have to be broken. It's more, I can probably go on a limb and say it's probably mathematically certain that because of our monetary system being a debt-based system, all the time and energy and things you've invested into this current system, it's all denominated more likely in some number form in an account somewhere on somebody's ledger as a promise owed to you. And whether or not that company, the health of that company is going to be around or not, who knows? But it's going to be the currency that company's holding that might be a problem. So any way it goes, if you are expecting something from somebody else, more than likely you're going to be disappointed. And so the only person you have to fall back on, or two other people, depending on where you stand at, is, from a spiritual sense, as I always mention, getting back to the basics. And I think the basics for most people, especially if you're a believer in Christ, is the fact that in his word, in the book of Proverbs, it talks heavily and highly about the importance of having wisdom, getting wisdom, and saying wisdom is a principal thing. And so once again, wisdom is knowledge or information, not of this current system that we're in, because everything, speaking on my behalf, everything that I've ever accomplished or done has come at either the leading of the Spirit, or it's come at my own education. And as we can see, even the most smartest PhDs, economists, aren't really all that smart at the end of the day, because look at the mess we're in. And so I think it's going to come back to really getting a sense of getting connected with a higher source, a higher power. And so I have a destination for myself, but more importantly, wherever you are at, it's time to connect with somebody greater, something greater, to get that information, get that wisdom as to what your uniqueness is, what your gift is, and begin trying to deliver it. Right now is a time for deployment as unemployment picks up. So I thought I would just share this as just something on my mind. But yet it's one of the things where, as I mentioned on live streams, if you have not received a pink slip yet, you're better off giving yourself a 1 year, 2 years notice in hopes of you not having to go that route of becoming an entrepreneur or an affiliatepreneur, as I mentioned a lot of times that people will be forced into. And so give yourself a pink slip to where you start working on your dreams, start working on what's in your heart, regardless of how small it is, getting started doing something other than what you're doing now that depends upon other people. has a much better chance of paying off down the line, even if it's something that it just impacts one person. If you can impact one person's life, that right there has a tremendous opportunity can create a ripple effect that can also do a lot of things, and you'd be surprised what can happen from that. So once again, a different approach, different strategy, different analysis, different thoughts, but yet it's one of the things where I can't hold it in, I got to share it. So I appreciate you guys taking time to listen to this. Let me know where you at. Have you given yourself that 1 year pink slip yet, to where you, between now and the next day, you're going to take some action to do something different, to position yourself outside of the promises that you've contributed to, that you are rightfully owed, but unfortunately a lot of people have been lied to, and not intentionally, but just because of the way the system is. I think the system between now and the time, a year or two, and now we see all the things happening in the monetary with the Federal Reserve, QE. Pretty soon there has to become a problem where it has to come a point where the currencies will begin to reflect really what's going on. And it's going to be very uncomfortable when that happens. And so you have a warning, you have a heads up, because you're an active alternative media follower. So therefore, you know what's really going on. So once again, I'm going to stop ranting, but I just thought I would share this. So the evolution of employment is really underway now, and it's only be on you. You shouldn't depend upon anybody other than yourself and the leading you had inside of you from your higher power. And definitely, get excited, because there's a lot of opportunity comes with chaos. So depending on how you view it, depending on what your results might be. So other than that, take a minute, let me know your thoughts down below. Share this if you find it valuable. Also, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. See you later for a live stream, hopefully, Lord willing. See you later.